Presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Aaron Williams. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as we are 24 hours away. In fact, 24 hours exactly from basically right now, as I'm speaking, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, will walk across that podium in Pittsburgh and welcome us in to the NFL draft and officially put the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock, at which point they will take Fernando Mendoza, and then we will be off and running. Now, again, as we've talked about, ad nauseum, it seems like, every night for basically the last 100 days since the Jaguar season ended, the Jaguars don't have a first-round pick as of now. More on that in a moment. They do have 4 picks on Friday. So what they're going to lack tomorrow night, they're going to make up for Friday because, again, when you're picking inside the top 100, when you have 4 selections in the first 3 rounds, those should be guys that not only play for you, those should be guys that contribute for you. The Jaguars, at minimum in this draft, if they keep those 4 picks on Friday night, those are 4 guys that will dress on Sunday, play special teams, and play other key positions, maybe get a starter or 2 out of that as well. So Friday has the potential to be a pretty big night for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, no picks tomorrow, 4 picks on Friday, and then 7 draft picks on Saturday, the way it stands right now. And keep in mind what James Gladstone did last year on Saturday. Bashal Tutin was a Saturday pick. Jack Kaiser was a Saturday pick. Rayon Lane was a Saturday pick. Jonah Monheim was a Saturday pick. And LaQuint Allen Jr. was a Saturday pick. So the Jaguars did pretty well on Saturday last year, even though they are, quote, late round selections. Those are guys that if you find the right guy, they'll contribute. And all of those guys, certainly Tutin, Allen, Monheim, Lane, Kaiser, all played for the Jaguars last year. And in Tutin's case, LaQuint Allen's case, and from a special teams standpoint, Rayon Lane's case, they played a lot for the Jaguars. So, despite not having a first-round pick, it is a critical 72-hour period for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It begins tomorrow with round number 1, and then obviously Friday, and then into Saturday. So we will talk a lot of NFL draft tonight. In fact, coming up in less than about 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, my buddy Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Prime Time, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember, Leon was the 11th overall selection back in 1992 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we will talk with a guy that was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. What is the mindset of the guys tonight, knowing they're going to be drafted tomorrow? What is his outlook for Jacksonville when it comes to what they're going to do in the draft? We'll look back on the offseason that was for the Jaguars. I'm looking forward to that conversation with Leon Searcy. That comes up in about 20 minutes or so. Later on in the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Chad Forbes. Love him, hate him. He's going to tell you what he thinks, man. That's why we enjoy having him on. You follow him on social media at NFL Draft Bites. I know some Jaguar Twitter folks, and he have gotten acquainted in the past on social media, but Chad loves Duval, and we're going to get Chad on the program this evening to give his thoughts on the overall draft class and what he sees Jacksonville doing in the next couple of days. We are also going to talk a little NBA playoffs. In fact, the Orlando Magic going at it right now with the Detroit Pistons, Game 2 in Detroit. Look, Orlando's up 1-0 in the series. My thought coming into tonight, we all knew Detroit was going to play like their hair was on fire, and they came out playing like their hair was on fire. I wanted to make them sweat a little bit. I wanted to make them earn the win. It's a battle right now. 4 minutes to go in the first half. Just a defensive slugfest right now. Detroit 36-35 over Orlando. 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Detroit looking to even the series at a game apiece. If Orlando wins 2 on Detroit's home court, holy cow, what a coup that would be for the Magic. You know, we thought the NBA playoffs were going to be a snooze fest. Real quick here, boy, have you seen the series? Game 1s were mainly blowouts for the favorite team, with the exception of Orlando and Detroit. But since Game 1, Atlanta beat the Knicks. That series is tied at a game apiece. Minnesota beat Denver. That series is now tied at a game apiece. Did you see Portland beat San Antonio last night? And Philadelphia beat Boston pretty good. There are a lot of series that are 1-1 going to pivotal Game 3s, which start tomorrow. So the first round of the NBA playoffs we thought might be a snooze fest at the beginning. Turns out it might be a little more complicated for the higher-seeded teams than we originally thought. So we're with you till 10 o'clock. We're glad you're with us on the eve of the 2026 NFL Draft. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Aaron Williams, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
on Hacker After Dark.
Okay, so I've seen the rumors. I've seen the conversation. Could Jacksonville trade up into the first round? Well, of course they could, right? You can do anything if you have the desire to when it comes to trading up, trading down, whatever you want to do. And James Gladstone, by the way, only his second draft as a general manager in the National Football League, proved very quickly last year that he will make a lot of trades up the board, down the board, all over the board. So I don't doubt that the Jaguars are going to make a lot of deals. Maybe it's for some future draft picks, maybe trading up in some rounds, maybe trading back in some rounds. I don't doubt that at all. I would be very surprised if the Jaguars traded up into round 1 tomorrow. And I'll tell you why. For starters, they don't have a lot of assets to trade up into the first round. Keep in mind, they're not picking early in round 2. They're not even picking in the middle of round 2. They're picking 56. The third round begins at pick 65, right? The Jaguars are picking in the bottom 10 picks of round number 2. Now, they have 56, they have 81, they have 88, and they have 100. I think that's really good value to have 4 draft picks on day number 2. If you don't love somebody, maybe the Jaguars love somebody and they don't think they're going to fall and they want to desperately get up into the end of the first round and get them. But man, what is that going to cost you? Well, it's going to cost you 56, 81, probably 88, right? It's going to cost you maybe 3 of those 4 picks at minimum. And that's not even counting. You might have to throw something in next year. Again, that's too rich for my blood. I just don't see the Jaguars. And first off, I don't see another team wanting to trade down more than 25 spots. I mean, if the Jaguars get up into the first round, that means somebody in the NFL, some team, is trading back basically a minimum of 25 spots down to 56, which is a ton of spots to move down. So I don't think the Jaguars have the draft capital necessarily to move up anyway. Could I see them moving up into the 40 to 45 to 50 range on night 2, let's say a Caleb Banks or a Jacob Rodriguez or an Anthony Hill, one of those guys begins falling a little bit into that 40, 45 range, and then James Gladstone's on the phone making calls, well, yeah, I could absolutely see that. Trading up 10 spots is a little different than trading up 25 spots. I just think trading up 25 spots, that's asking a lot. I also believe that you look at the roster here in Jacksonville. Is it the best roster in the NFL? No, it's not. They need some work. They need to fill in some holes. They need to address some things. But, man, it is a pretty good roster. If you're a Jaguar fan getting ready for this thing beginning tomorrow night, you got to be pretty happy with the way the roster looks. You did nothing in free agency other than Chris Rodriguez. You did nothing. And I still really like the way the roster looks. You're bringing back 20 of the 22 starters that played in that Buffalo playoff game. That doesn't even take into account Travis Hunter, who you get back. That doesn't even take into account Caleb Ransaw, who you drafted in round 3 last year, that you get back. That doesn't take into account Wyatt Milam, who you drafted in round 3 last year, who did not start in that Buffalo game. So I like the makeup of the roster. And not only that, you get to add 4 guys in rounds 2 and 3 to what I feel is already a pretty good roster. I don't want to sacrifice missing out on the quantity when maybe you can get a little better quality if you move up 15, 20, 25 spots. If it's me, I stay status quo. The Jaguars were patient in free agency. Gladstone and Cohen have talked about it, having to be patient and just let it play out. That's what I do tomorrow night. If I'm the Jaguars, I'm patient. I let it play out with the knowledge that on Friday I have 4 cracks at it. 4 shots on Friday to improve this football team. As I've said for a while now, if it's me, no particular order, linebacker, interior D-line, tight end, edge. Let's go to linebacker first. I'm a big Ventrell Miller fan. Big Ventrell Miller fan. It probably doesn't hurt his case that he went to the University of Florida. It probably doesn't hurt his case that every time I ask him for an interview, he's gracious and does it with me, which I certainly appreciate. Ventrell Miller is a good dude, and I'm rooting for him, and I hope he plays a lot in 2026. But are we ready to hand the keys to Devin Lloyd's position to Ventrell Miller? I don't know. Branson Combs, I know the Jaguars like him. Undrafted free agent that ultimately ended up on the 53 at the end of the year, but we just didn't see enough. Kaiser is Foyer's backup. I don't think Kaiser is really going to play into the Devin Lloyd situation. So outside of Ventrell Miller and Branson Combs, what do you have to replace Devin Lloyd? To me, one of those first 4 picks on Friday needs to be a linebacker. We've heard about Anthony Hill from Texas. We've heard about Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. We've heard about Trotter, Jeremiah Trotter's son, the linebacker at Missouri. Jake Galladay from Cincinnati. We know all the names, right? We've seen them mocked to Jacksonville numerous times. Whether it's one of those guys or whether it's another linebacker, I'm taking one of them on Friday. Interior D-line. Eric Armstead, is he going to be here in 2026? I don't know. He's here now, but keep in mind, you would save roughly $14 million if you cut him after June 1st. You got Devon Hamilton, you re-signed Matt Dickerson, you brought in Rook Aro, right, from Atlanta. But you certainly need more on the interior defensive line. To me, that's a no-brainer. One of those 4 picks on Friday has to be interior D-line. It would not surprise me if 2 of them were, but I think ultimately 2 of the 11 picks will be interior D-line. If it's not 2 of the first 4, I do believe they will take another interior defensive lineman in the middle to late rounds. Edge. Trayvon Walker, Joshua Hines-Allen, that's pretty good, right? You can't complain about that. Behind them, I'm excited to see what B.J. Green and Danny Strigo have in year number 2. The Jaguars re-signed Dennis Gardeck, but I need more. I need something else. Emmanuel Ogba's gone. DeJuan Smoot is gone. You need somebody else. I think one of those first 4 picks needs to be an edge. And then tight end, look, Brenton Strange is a stud as your starter. I like Quentin Morris. I like Hunter Long. But this is a very, very good and very, very deep tight end class. You need to take advantage of that. If you're planning on playing a lot of 2 tight end sets, which the Jaguars, I would assume, are planning on doing, do you feel good with Quentin Morris and Hunter Long? Or do you want to take an Oscar Delp from Georgia, Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt, someone along those lines in round 2 or probably in round number 3? That's what I'm doing. Those are my first 4. No particular order. Linebacker, interior D-line, tight end, edge. I'm taking a corner at some point. Look, I love the fact that Monteric Brown re-signed. Travis Hunter's going to play defensive back a ton. You got Jordan Lewis. You got Jarian Jones. Keep in mind, though, Lewis and Hunter came off the surgery table. We think they're going to be healthy in September. We hope they're going to be healthy in September. But you need to take a corner as some insurance, right? To develop. You got Christian Braswell as well. I understand that. But I would take a corner at some point, probably on Saturday. I'm going to take a quarterback at some point. You always, when you have 11 picks, you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go. To me, I would take a quarterback, maybe round 6, round 7. Running back, that's what I see the rumors on. Again, you got Rodriguez, you got Tootin, you got LaQuinn Allen Jr. I guess I could see them taking a running back on Saturday. I would be surprised if they took one on Friday. Because what are you going to do, dress 4 running backs on game day? I mean, you got DJ Dallas, who they like as a special teamer. He would technically be the 5th running back, I guess, if they drafted a running back on Friday. I don't know if that's a good use. You brought in Rodriguez on a decent contract. They obviously like Bashal Tootin. They obviously like LaQuinn Allen Jr. If you draft a running back in round 3, you kind of got a log jam at running back. So I don't know. Offensively, I mentioned tight end. Wide receiver, they're going to take a big body wide receiver. We don't know about Tim Patrick's future. We know they tried to sign Jake Bobo from Seattle, who's another big 6'4", goal line, special teams type wide receiver. Seattle matched that offer. So I think Jacksonville, that's what they're looking for. That 6'3", 6'4", big body wide receiver, a younger Tim Patrick, if you will. I do believe tight ends in play. I believe a big body wide receivers in play. They're going to draft an offensive lineman because when you have 11 picks, you probably need to draft at least one offensive lineman to get into the pipeline. And again, I would take a backup quarterback. Those are the 4 positions I would hit on offense. The other 7 picks I would use on defense. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, guys. Look at the attrition on the roster. Look at 2025 and look at 2026. Look at the guys they lost. On defense, the guys that were here in 2025, Emmanuel Ogba, Austin Johnson, DeJuan Smoot, Greg Newsome, Devin Lloyd, Dewey Wingard. They're all gone. That's 6 guys that dressed and played a lot of defense for you. I might even be missing a couple. And you've brought in nobody in free agency on the defensive side of the ball. So that logic alone would indicate they're going to draft a lot of defensive guys, which I would agree with. I hope they do. I hope they take an edge. I hope they take at least 1, probably 2 interior D linemen. I hope they take a corner. I hope they take a linebacker. And then maybe double up at a linebacker or, again, 2 to 3 interior D lineman types. What's going to be interesting, though, is 11 picks. That's a lot. That's tied for the second most in the National Football League heading into the draft. 11 draft picks for the Jaguars, despite not having one tomorrow night. Should be very, very interesting. We'll be with you during the NFL draft tomorrow night here on Hacker After Dark. We'll be following it right along with you, at least through the first dozen or so picks up until 10 o'clock, a little before. So we're certainly excited about that. Let's talk to a man that was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft back in 1992. He was the 11th overall pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is it like to get drafted? What is it like to walk across that stage? What is it like the night before the draft? What are these guys going through this evening that know that they're going to hear their name called and their life is going to change forever tomorrow night? And then how long do you celebrate before you got to get on a plane? You got to get to your new hometown, and you got to get to work. Leon Searcy lived that. He's going to join us next. NBA playoff update, I will tell you, halftime, Orlando and Detroit. Yeah, Orlando's making the Pistons sweat a little bit. We are tied 46-46 at halftime. Again, Orlando leads the series 1-0. You figured Detroit was going to come out with their hair on fire. They were a 9.5-point favorite coming into the game tonight, and it's tied 46 apiece at the half. We will keep you updated. Back into the NFL, back into the Jacksonville Jaguars, and back into the NFL draft. My buddy Leon Searcy joins us next on a Wednesday night, an NFL draft eve here on Hacker After Dark, and we're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Will Dan Hicken find sanity?
Dude, why are you acting so crazy?
Will Jeff Prosser find peace of mind?
The man is a walking keg of dynamite.
Find out on the next thrilling, hilarious, unpredictable episode of The Drill.
Zany antics.
Tomorrow morning on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here for the best weight loss program I've ever been on. Look, it's been hot the last couple of days. Into the 80s, into the 90s. Man, 2 years ago, when I was over 300 pounds, it was awful. You can imagine how bad it was when I was out and about, just sweating bullets, just terrible. For example, I just left T-ball practice with a little hack about an hour ago. Yeah, I was hot because it's 90 degrees out there, but I was also running around, helping coach, running the bases, helping them with grounders, helping them with hitting. Could I have done that 2 years ago when I was over 300 pounds? Of course not. That's what Awaken 180 did for me. Awaken 180 changed my life. I dropped the weight, I'm keeping it off, and it gave me my life back, gave me an opportunity to do things like that with my son, run the bases with him during his T-ball practice. Guys, if it's time for you to drop the weight like it was for me, I looked in the mirror. I got tired of it. I wanted a change. I heard about Awaken 180. I saw the success the guys like Matt Hayes and Mike Dempsey had with it, and it worked. It actually worked. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy. Why so glum?
Stinky ice cubes, Jason. It's all downhill from here.
What?
The tap water at my place smells kind of funky. Funky tap water makes funky ice cubes. I meet a nice girl, invite her back to my place for a cocktail, and blow my whole romantic gesture with a mojito that smells like dog's feet!
Wait, I can totally make you way cooler.
I'm not taking your charity ice cubes, Jason. I have my pride.
Your pride is safe. Our plumbers can be at your house the day you call and install a whole home water purification system. Water tastes better, dishes come out cleaner, even your hair feels better after you shower.
Ooh, the ladies love a man with soft hair, don't they, Jason?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend every day worried about the water in your own home, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Listen to whatever you like, whenever you want.
I like this.
1010XL on demand. Ad-free shows after the live shows end. Channeled by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Great
Credit card interest rates are now over 29%. Most people are only making the minimum payments, so they're getting nowhere. Hey, Prosser here, but here's what many homeowners don't realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit card, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. One client just got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month. Here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. With zero out-of-pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage. Rates are at a near 3-year low. Act now. Go to loanpronto.com. See how much you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Some days, self-care starts with Nature-Made gummy vitamins. A deep breath and a little encouragement.
Mom, I'm really nervous.
Me too, honey, but we've got this. Repeat after me. I'm gonna have a good day.
I'm going to have a good day.
I choose joy no matter what comes my way.
I bring joy wherever I go.
Quality gummy vitamins from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us, and we are now inside of 24 hours away from the NFL draft. The first round, tomorrow night up in Pittsburgh. Of course, the Jaguars currently do not have a first-round pick, but they have 4 picks scheduled for day 2, 4 picks in rounds 2 and round 3, and then 7 more picks on Saturday in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's talk to a man that knows all about the NFL draft. He was the 11th overall pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the early 1990s. He then came to Jacksonville, was a Pro Bowler, and you now hear him every day on XL Primetime. That is my buddy Leon Searcy. Leon, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing?
Leon, I'm good, buddy. I appreciate the time and the positive vibes from you during the Orlando game in Game 1 on Sunday. I think it was your text that put Orlando over the top.
I had to keep you inspired, bro. I knew you were dealing with a lot. Them having the lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight with Game 2 up there with Orlando and Detroit. All right, Leon, I want to talk about the Jaguars. I want to talk about your thoughts on what they're going to do this week up in Pittsburgh, but I don't get the chance very often to talk to a former first-round pick. What are your thoughts coming up on the anniversary of when you were drafted into the National Football League?
Well, Hank, it's always special to me. Actually, 34 years ago, I was drafted in the first round by the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 11. So always wait and see who's going to be drafted at number 11. It's kind of like a fraternity. If you're drafted number 11, you root for that type of person. But, yeah, man, it's always cool. I remember my times when I was drafted. I didn't go to New York. I was invited because they said I could only bring 3 family members, and I had a big family in Orlando. So we did something at the house, fish fried, barbecued, and I had about 20 people over. So it was very special to me.
What is it like 24 hours beforehand? What are these guys going through right now, knowing they're going to get drafted tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, you're a little nervous because this is a new chapter of your life. The anticipation is nerve-wracking because not everybody is you might be projected in the first round. My sisters were this hack. I was projected to go in the first round, but I wasn't sure I was going to be in the first round. So there's a little nervousness involved in it, but it all works out for you. I mean, anytime you're given the opportunity to play in the NFL, you just got to maximize it any way you can.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, you and I haven't spoke since Chris Rodriguez has arrived here in Jacksonville. He joins Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen in the backfield. Etienne obviously gone to New Orleans. Leon, is running back something they need to address in the draft? Are you confident in Rodriguez, Tutin, and Allen being able to handle that workload this year?
Well, I've done my share of mock drafts leading up to the draft tomorrow, and I always find myself somewhere in the fourth and maybe fifth round drafting a running back. You've got a pretty full running back room. I would think that Tutin's your RB1. But, everybody else is pretty relatively unknown. That Rodriguez, I mean, he's got history with Liam Cohen back in Tampa. But I think in my mock drafts, I've still got a running back somewhere in the fourth or fifth round.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft someone somewhere. I know there's rumors out there that they might draft a running back high. I don't know about that, but I could see something like you said, round 4, round 5, something maybe a little later than that. Leon, same question at linebacker. Ventrell Miller, Branson Combs, Jack Kaiser are here. Devin Lloyd is no longer here. Is Lloyd's replacement on the roster, or will he be drafted over the next 48 to 72 hours?
I mean, we don't listen. We got a sample size of all those linebackers that you just mentioned. They're essentially science projects, to be quite honest with you. I mean, because none of them are really established at the position. So, I mean, that's going to be very, very interesting to see what the Jaguars do. Do you have enough confidence in the linebackers room to where you can let those guys fight out for a position, or do you go get you a young rookie stud and see if he can compete for the job?
And look, you talk about these mock drafts. There seems to be a consensus, Leon, linebacker and interior defensive line, almost verbatim, 56 and or 81. The first two picks the Jaguars have are going in these mock drafts with either interior D-line or linebacker to replace Devin Lloyd. Do you agree with that? Are those the two biggest positions of need on this football team?
I think the biggest position of need in my assessment is the defensive tackle, bro. I mean, essentially the only person that you can really rely on right now is Armstead, and he's getting up in age. We don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he could retire. I don't know. There's a lot of money that's still on the table, but I'm saying you don't want to be blindsided by anything as far as defensive tackle go. I think at 56, bro, I think you would probably, if it was me, I would take a D tackle at 56. And it's a down year for D tackles, but you got to be able to draft someone and develop him into your main rotational guy interiorly, because I mean, and I'm talking the three technique, someone who can stop the run and rush the passer. Now, a Roro, I think I'm saying this name right. I think it's three rows, but I saw a little film on him on Jaguars' website. He seems to have a nice little molder when I saw his clips. So I mean, but you don't know what you got until you get it. But I would definitely go defensive tackle if I had to do anything.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy with us. Leon, I agree with you about Armstead, and the Jaguars would save a good deal of money against the cap if they release him after June 1st. I think there's some question as to whether Armstead is going to be here or not in 2026. Let me ask you about Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle at Florida. 2 months ago, not a chance he would get there to 56, but he's got another foot injury, and I believe this is the third issue with that foot. And for a 6'5", 340-pound defensive tackle, teams tend to start noticing that sort of thing. If Banks is there at 56 on Friday, or if he starts falling to, say, 45 or 50, do the Jaguars make the call or make the pick to get Caleb Banks with the known foot issues that he has?
Man, you gotta know. I mean, this is when your doctors and your trainers come into respect. I mean, the aspect of the draft, because, man, if this kid didn't have these issues with injuries, I mean, he would definitely, in my assessment, be a definitely first round pick somewhere in the middle. But because he has these injuries, you got to be damn sure that that your trainers and your medical staff give you the green light on him, because man, it'd be a shame to take him that high at 56. And then, training camp or mini camp comes around and he can't practice.
It's certainly a risk, but is the reward worth the risk? I agree with you. Defensive tackle, linebacker. I think if you look at the other parts of the defense, I still think corner. Look, I understand Monteric Brown, Jarian Jones, Travis Hunter, and Jordan Lewis. But, Leon, when you keep in mind that Hunter and Lewis are coming off a surgery table, we think they're going to be ready, right, for September and opening day, but you don't really know yet. I think you almost have to take a corner relatively high as well this week.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another position group that, like you said, with those two guys, you don't know if they're going to be 100% or not. And you're taking a chance by not drafting another corner. And you still in Renshaw. I mean, here's a guy who we drafted as a corner, more than likely be a safety. I mean, how will he give us any time or give us any reps of this upcoming offseason? So, yeah, you have to assess, unfortunately, the worst that could happen, and to make sure you're protected on both sides.
Couple more for Leon Searcy. Leon, let's go to your side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. Look, they got every offensive lineman under contract. It's going to be hard for any rookie to get any significant playing time with so many offensive linemen here. But having said that, with currently 11 picks, I mean, you almost have to draft an offensive lineman, correct?
Yeah, you would. I would think. Well, you know how much I love guards. You can never have enough guards. You don't never want a guard till you need one. You still got Wylam. Yeah, you got a nice little veteran core at the guard position. My concern, Hacker, is left tackle. I mean, we don't Cole Van Lanen. I mean, what's his issue? What's the deal with his knee? I mean, do you really want to get Walker little reps at left tackle when you know essentially you're not going to use him during the season? Walker Little might even be trade bait somewhere during the in the offseason in training camp for a team that might need a left tackle. So you probably need to get your. I mean, you got Wylam. He played left tackle in college, but I mean, do you trust that? Do you trust giving him those reps at left tackle, which is essentially the third most important position on the team behind quarterback and rush in? I mean, you're protecting the franchise backside, with a second-year guy who didn't really get any reps. And then Van Lanen, he's hurt. You don't know how he's going to come back and walk a little. You don't trust him enough to where you benched him last year. So, I mean, left tackle is a position. Or do you move Anton Harris? Do you move Anton over at left tackle, which he hasn't played since his senior year in college? So I think the left tackle position needs to be established, and maybe you draft one in the late or in the middle rounds.
Speaking of Anton, his fifth-year team option got picked up. I'm sure you were happy to see that.
Yeah, because Anton's been solid. He's been solid pretty much his whole career. I think probably last year or his rookie year was two of his better years. His second year kind of slipped off. But I had a little conversation with him at the players, and he's excited about, I just told him to continue to excel. A great Hall of Fame offensive lineman told me this, Jackie Slater. He said, keep learning, keep growing. He said, the day you stop learning and growing is the day you need to hang them up. So as much as you may know right now, it's still more for him to learn and get better. And I think this kid has the potential to become an all-pro.
Final moments with former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, as we begin to wrap up, we talked about running back. I almost think tight end is going to happen soon in the draft, maybe even one of those round 3 picks. Look, Brenton Strange is a stud. Obviously, they like Quentin Morris. Hunter Long is in play there, but I certainly think tight end probably needs to be addressed. And look, we don't know the future of Tim Patrick. He's no longer here as of now. We know the Jaguars tried to get Jake Bobo from Seattle. The Seahawks matched that. So if you're just connecting the dots there, it would appear the Jaguars are looking for a big 6'3", 6'4" type wide receiver as well in this year's draft.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in my mock drafts, I definitely took tight end as well, somewhere in like the 3rd or 4th round. Because you know this team might run a lot of 2 tight end sets. And also you might have to get you a young tight end phenom to leverage just in case, you know, because you're in contract negotiations with Brendan Strange, and you don't know how that's going to go. So you want to make sure you leverage yourself to where you have a young guy that can come in and be impressive. So, yeah, I think I took the tight end out of North Carolina State. I think his name is Justin Jolly.
Mm-hmm.
I think I took him in like the 3rd or 4th round.
Do you draft a quarterback to compete with Nick Mullins for the backup spot?
Yeah, I did that too, Hack. I took Drew Alar.
Oh,
from Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took him like in the 6th round. Yeah, because you don't want, Mullins, is he the type of guy, listen, I don't want anything to happen to Trevor. He is the franchise. But can he, if Trevor goes down and misses a game or two, can Mullen go win us a game or two with Trevor going down? And then can a rookie go and win us a game or two? That's another thing that you have to consider. But if you develop him in time to where he could take us a game or two and win a game, I trust the veteran a lot more. But I think I don't want Nick Butters to get comfortable at the position. So yeah, I've drafted a rookie to come in maybe in the 6th round.
Leon, final question: whether these guys get drafted Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, obviously the euphoria of that phone call and getting drafted is unbelievable. And then what are the next couple of hours like? I mean, reality sets in, right? You're an NFL player, and I would imagine plane flights got to be scheduled, and you got to get to your new hometown.
Yeah, well, I got drafted. This is when the draft was at noon. So I got drafted at noon. I celebrated with my family for a couple of hours. The next thing you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I was on a flight to Pittsburgh to meet the media and address the media and take pictures like that. So, it's a quick transition from, being excited. Then now it's about the business of the ball. So you've got to you can still be excited about being a draftee, but then when you get to your city, you understand that the NFL is about that business.
Former Jaguar, Pro Bowl offensive tackle, my buddy Leon Searcy. Leon, I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time, and we'll talk after the draft, pal.
All right, bro.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies. Your home team's radio home.
To the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes with an opportunity again this year, just in case you haven't taken advantage of it in the past. Take the opportunity to drop 40 pounds by the 4th with a Waco 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? To make it easier, a Waco 180 has lost Reclaim by a Waco 180. Reclaim is a simple 10-week plan designed to help you reach your weight and health goals. A beginning and an end and a real finish line. It just makes more sense. I dropped my 40 within 10 weeks, and like I always tell you, it was easy. Reclaim by a Waco 180 arrives at the perfect time for you to reach your 40 by the 4th and then keep it off with free support for life. Any medication, diet, or workout plan will say you'll see the results. But how many will say in 10 weeks you'll be a new version of yourself, thanking the old you for making that call to a Waco 180? 40 by the 4th isn't just a slogan. It's an opportunity to succeed with Reclaim by a Waco 180. Only at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Millard Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Millard Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Millard Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Millard Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
ACM and CMA award winner, Hardy. That's my favorite country song. The Country Tour. April 23rd, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena with Mitchell Tenpenny and McCoy Moore. Hardy live. You got it good. On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Hardy 2026.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Glad you're with us till 10 o'clock. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Thank you to Leon Searcy for joining us here this evening. So tomorrow night, round number 1, and again, and I've talked about this for the last couple of evenings, you know, it's kind of reality setting in. It doesn't feel like the draft is tomorrow because the Jaguars don't have a first-round pick. And I know as little about the top 20 in this year's draft as maybe I have since the Jaguars came into existence. Because normally, when the Jaguars are picking top 5, top 10, top 15, etc., you do your homework on a lot of these guys. Well, this year, none of these guys are possibilities for the Jaguars. We just haven't talked a lot about them. We've spent much more time on Jacob Rodriguez and Anthony Hill than we have on David Bailey or Arvell Reese or, Sonny Styles, guys like that. So here is how tomorrow night is probably going to go. I just pulled up a mock draft this morning on ESPN.com. Las Vegas is on the clock. Number 1 overall, they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. We've talked about that. The Heisman Trophy winner, the 16-0 quarterback of the national champion Indiana Hoosiers. The interesting thing there is that even though he's going to go number 1, he's probably not going to start right out of the gate. Because remember, the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins, and they gave him a ridiculous contract, but in reality, it's basically a 1-year deal. But he's being paid pretty well for that 1 year, so one would think Cousins is probably going to be the opening day starter for the Raiders. Will we see Mendoza at some point? Well, yeah, if the season goes south. But normally in the last 10, 15 years, 2 decades anyway, if a quarterback goes number 1, he's kind of thrown out there immediately. That's probably not going to be the case with Mendoza, but he is going to go number 1 tomorrow. David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, is going to go somewhere in the top 5. We mentioned Arvell Reese, the edge from Ohio State, somewhere probably in the top 5. Tennessee at 4, the Jaguars' division rival in the AFC South. The question there is, will they take Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame? Some people believe they will. Some people believe they won't. Let's, for argument's sake, say they do take Jeremiah Love. Well, that's interesting, because then you pair him with Cam Ward, It's pretty good on paper, right? Second-year quarterback Cam Ward, a rookie running back in Jeremiah Love. They can grow together. It's kind of similar to what they did with Steve McNair and Eddie George back in the day. And not to bring up any nightmares for Jaguar fans. No, I'm not sitting here telling you if they draft Jeremiah Love that he and Cam Ward will turn into the next Steve McNair and Eddie George, but it's similar, if nothing else. But that is a big point at number 4. Will the Titans go Jeremiah Love, or will they go defense? Because obviously their new head coach, Robert Saleh, that's his DNA, is on the defensive side of the ball. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State, he's been all over the board. I've seen him in the teens, but he seems to be coming up the board. In this mock draft, he's going 5 to the New York Giants. Couple of Miami Hurricanes are going to get their name called pretty early tomorrow night, one would think. Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle for Miami, he's projected in this mock draft to go 6 to Cleveland. Ruben Bain, the defensive end for Miami, is projected to go 9th to the Kansas City Chiefs. So maybe we will have 2 Miami Hurricanes go in the top 10. Speaking of the top 10, in this particular mock draft, we got Caleb Downs, Carnell Tate. Let's see. Then we have Arvell Reese. So we got 3 Ohio State Buckeyes in the top 10 in this mock draft. I've even seen some mock drafts that have 4 Ohio State Buckeyes going in the top 10 tomorrow night. In fact, another Miami Hurricane, Akeem Mesidor, goes 15 in this mock to Tampa. Miami's got a lot of talent tomorrow night that will be selected in this mock draft. 3 Miami Hurricanes are gone in the top 15. Just by the way, in case you were wondering, towards the very end of round 1, guys that maybe Jacksonville might think about trading up for, Malachi Lawrence, the edge, UCF in this mock goes 32. Colton Hood, the corner from Tennessee, I've seen some talk about him. He goes 30 in this mock. You got projected trades with the Texans and the Cardinals. Will the Cardinals take Ty Simpson tomorrow night, the Alabama quarterback? There's all sorts of speculation there. Remember, they're trying to replace Kyler Murray. They do have Gardner Minshew. They do have Jacoby Brissett. But the thought is that Ty Simpson from Alabama might be the pick for Arizona tomorrow night. So even though the Jaguars don't have a pick scheduled for tomorrow, there will be a lot of intrigue going on into what actually happens tomorrow. Boy, you want to talk about furniture probably being broke in the Detroit Pistons locker room. This was a 46-46 game at halftime. To the Pistons' credit, they lost game 1. They have to win tonight. You can't lose the first 2 at home and have any chance to win the series. They are bludgeoning the Orlando Magic in the third quarter. A 46-46 game at halftime has turned into a 69-49 lead for Detroit. They are on a 23-3 run, are the Detroit Pistons in the third quarter. Yikes. And that's the Orlando Magic for you. You know, I'm not going to complain because I'm playing with house money anyway. If you would have told me 1-1 going back to Orlando, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. But this is what the Magic do. They give you hope, and then they play like crap. And they're playing awful in the third quarter, getting absolutely obliterated. And it looks like it will be 1-1 Detroit and Orlando with Game 3 in Orlando coming up on Saturday afternoon. Let's talk a little more NBA playoffs. Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show is about 15 minutes away. NBA playoffs, first round, kind of intriguing all of a sudden. A lot of these series that people thought were going to be blowouts, not so fast. We'll talk about it next on Hacker After Dark.
From the green flag to the glory of victory lane.
Here they come, checker flag.
Sunday at Talladega Super Speedway, powered by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower, 1010 XL.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes with an opportunity again this year, just in case you haven't taken advantage of it in the past. Take the opportunity to drop 40 pounds by the 4th with a Waco 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? To make it easier, Awaken 180 has lost Reclaim by Awaken 180. Reclaim is a simple 10-week plan designed to help you reach your weight and health goals, a beginning and an end and a real finish line. It just makes more sense. I dropped my 40 within 10 weeks, and like I always tell you, it was easy. Reclaim by Awaken 180 arrives at the perfect time for you to reach your 40 by the 4th and then keep it off with free support for life. Any medication, diet, or workout plan will say you'll see the results. But how many will say in 10 weeks you'll be a new version of yourself, thanking the old you for making that call to Awaken 180? 40 by the 4th isn't just a slogan. It's an opportunity to succeed with Reclaim by Awaken 180. Only at Awaken180weightloss.com.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Put a little hot sauce on your lunchtime listening. Spicy. Joe Coward, Matt Hayden, and Leon Searcy. They are XL Prime Time.
4-alarm fire.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios. Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the Checkmate Chessman.
At most companies, people start on the ground floor and work their way up to the corner office. At Checkmate, I started on the ground floor, and almost 20 years in, that's still where I am, making ground floors look awesome, one garage at a time.
Well, I started as a pawn and worked my way up to king.
No, you didn't. Some guy drew you as a king. I asked them to give you a roller, so at least you look like one of the guys.
Yes, I rather would have preferred a sword.
At Checkmate, I work personally with our teams to perfect the preparation and application techniques that make Checkmate floors beautiful and durable.
And I keep things classy with my adorable accent.
Beautiful floors?
Check. Guaranteed to last?
Check. The finishing touch your home deserves? Checkmate.
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah.
It's time to take your season to the next level when the Jaguars return to the bank in 2026. Become a season ticket member and unlock exclusive access to ticketed events, members-only experiences, NFL membership club perks, and more. Availability is limited due to in-bowl renovations, so don't wait. Call 904-633-2000 or visit jaguars.com/season tickets to secure your spot at the center of the action. We'll see you at the bank this fall.
It's your go-to for golf talk. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
All we need to do is develop the rest of your game. Then you'll be unstoppable, son.
Get local updates, gear reviews, and all things golf talk. Saturday mornings at 10 on 1010XL.
Double the action, double the fun. Join Sporting Jags Saturday, April 25th at UNF's Hodges Stadium for an exciting pro soccer doubleheader. The women's team gets things going at 2 against Lexington, featuring an appearance from competitive eating legend Joey Chestnut. Have a blast after in the fun zone before the men pick things back up at 7:30 against Miami. Secure your seats at sportingjacks.com or call 863-KICK. That's 863-KICK. Pro Soccer, Pro Jacks.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker, After Dark on 1010XL.
You know, I don't know about the history of the NBA playoffs, how many times we've seen a 28-3 run, which is what the Detroit Pistons are currently on right now. This was a 46-46 game at the half. It is now 74-49 Detroit. And look, I'm an 82 gamer when it comes to the Orlando Magic. I've watched them all. I haven't missed a second of a game. If I can't watch them live, I watch them on the DVR. This is what they do. and this is what they've done for the better part of 3 years. They will give you hope by winning game 1 or having an unbelievable win in the regular season. They will give you hope. And it's been the same thing for 3 years now. And as soon as you get that hope, in a matter of hours, or in this case, days, because you waited 3 days for the next game, they will look like hot garbage, which is what they look like right now. This looks like the Orlando Magic team that I watched for a majority of the year. They're just awful right now. I mean, they are absolutely awful. You have to try. In the NBA, in the National Basketball Association, in the playoffs right now, going on as we speak, there is a team on a 30-3 run. It was 46-46. It is now 76-49. This is the team that lost to the Celtics G League team 10 days ago. This is the team that lost to Philadelphia last week. This is the team that I know and love. And odds are they'll come back to Orlando in game 3, and they might play a really spirited game, and who knows, maybe even win in game 3. And then they will play awful and lose game 4 and lose home court, and the Pistons will win the series in 6. It's what they do. The silver lining to me in all of this is that changes are going to come as soon as they lose this first-round series. I didn't get swept away with a 1-0 lead because I sat here and I told you guys last night, and I'm going to talk to Trevor Lane on the NBA Front Office Show, and we'll talk about all the series going on. I remember 2019 when the Magic were the 7 seed and the Toronto Raptors were the 2 seed, and Orlando beat Toronto at the buzzer when DJ Augustine hit a shot and they're up 1-0, and everybody's pumped. And the Magic didn't sniff a victory the rest of the series. They lost 4-1. I remember the bubble in 2020 where the Magic, again, a 7 seed, were playing Giannis and the Bucks, a 2 seed. And Orlando won game 1. Did not win another game that series. Now, I don't know if Detroit's going to beat them 4 in a row, but they probably could. I mean, this is preposterous what's going on right now as Orlando has just gone back to what they are. And they are as average as the day is long. They will give you hope, and in that same moment, they will take it from you. And it's what happens day after day, month after month, and year after year as an Orlando Magic fan. I shouldn't even be, I'm not even mad about it. You know, I mean, I got people texting me, what's going on? It's what they do. This is it. They play great, and then they play like crap the very next day. It's a never-ending cycle, and at some point, you got to affect coaching. Has something to do with that. Player personnel, but the coaching is going to be decided first, because in the NBA, coaching is going to change before player personnel is going to change. So Jamal Mosley will lose his job after they lose this series, and maybe they'll hire Billy Donovan. I don't know. And people say, well, do you want Billy Donovan? Yes, because he's not Jamal Mosley. And I don't know if Jamal Mosley's a bad coach or not. I tend to believe he's probably a pretty good coach. But whatever he's saying with these guys just hasn't resonated, isn't resonating. Maybe it resonates for a game or 2, and then they revert back to this. It's tiresome, it's boring, and it's absolute nonsense. Although the NBA playoffs have been good for the most part. You got Atlanta that took home court from the Knicks. Portland took home court from San Antonio. Last night, Philadelphia took home court from Boston. And Minnesota took home court from Denver. Let's talk about all of it with Trevor Lane. He is the host of the NBA Front Office Show, and he joins us next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
This is Kyle Busch. The Candyman comes. Kyle Busch gets it done at Charlotte. He is now won everywhere.
And you're listening to 1010XL Jack Sports Radio.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Springtime is the perfect time to get your home organized. Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and I love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live. From closets and garages to entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and storage for any space and budget. Make an appointment to tour their showroom on Phillips Highway and get 40% off plus an extra 15% off free installation and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free consultation at 904-878-9393 or find them online, closetsbydesign.com.
Owning a house is kind of like being in an argument with your house. One day it's the AC saying, I'm tired. The next day it's the plumbing going, good luck finding that leak. Then the septic system joins the conversation. And nobody likes what it has to say. That's when you call Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One team that handles all three, plumbing, septic, and air conditioning. So the next time your house tries to win the argument, call Duck Duck Rooter. 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
An evening with legendary comedian Jeff Foxworthy.
But they have a rule in my neighborhood. If you walk your dog and your dog does his business in somebody else's yard, you need to get a little plastic bag, pick it up, and dispose of it. So you drive through my neighborhood and there's all these attractive women walking around with poo-poo purses.
Jeff Foxworthy Live, April 23rd, 7:30 p.m. at Thrasher Horn Center. Get tickets now at thcenter.org.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. NBA playoffs in full swing. You know, we were a little worried after this past weekend. You saw a lot of blowouts, quite frankly, but all of a sudden, the Hawks go into the Garden, tie that series with the Knicks. You had Minnesota go into Denver and get one. Orlando's gotten at least one in Detroit. We'll see what happens tonight in Game 2. So these playoff series now, again, look a little bit better as far as competitive than they did this past weekend. Let's talk about all of it with Trevor Lane. He is the host of the NBA Front Office Show, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Trevor, happy playoff time to you, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Enjoying this playoff basketball that we're getting. We're seeing some really fun games, and it's just a great time of year around the NBA.
Yeah, there's no doubt. What about this past weekend? You had blowout city all over the place, and I think people were a little worried, saying, round one could be a dud. But then you saw what Orlando did on Sunday night. You saw Atlanta go into the Garden, beat the Knicks. You saw Minnesota get a road win in Denver. Looks like we're going to have some pretty good series here in the first round.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise that we got some blowouts initially. Just that's what happens when you get the 1 versus 8 matchups and stuff. Now, sometimes you can't have some upsets like we saw obviously with Orlando, but when you've got the bigger discrepancy compared to, say, what we became used to last week, which was the play-in, where it's you've got the 7 seed playing the 8 seed and the 9 seed playing the 10 seed. So you've got teams that are on a pretty even playing field. They're similar in quality. You're going to get closer games, but it was great to see some upsets here, especially when we got into some of the game 2s as well. Obviously, Orlando beating Detroit was big in game 1, but some of the game 2s, we saw a bounce back. We saw, obviously, the Atlanta Hawks bouncing back. That just makes for a really fun series. Game 2s are a blast. Game 1, there's a little bit of a feel-out process. Game 2, that's where the adjustments really start. And I think we've got a really good first round here on our hands.
So a week and a half ago, Orlando was up in Boston playing what essentially was the Celtics G League team, and the Celtics beat them. Just one of the worst losses I can ever remember as a Magic fan. And then on Tuesday night last week, Orlando goes to Philadelphia, loses the play-in game, and at that point I had it, Trevor. I turned into Randy Quaid from Major League 2. I had enough, back up the truck, back it up, that sort of thing. I was ready for them to go to Cancun, and I was ready to not have to worry about watching them for the next, 5 or 6 months. And then all of a sudden, they beat the brakes off of Charlotte in the play-in game. They take game 1 against Detroit. We'll see what happens tonight, but worst case scenario, it's 1-1 heading to Orlando for game 3 on Saturday. In your opinion, what happened there? Why was Orlando able to turn it around?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's already mission accomplished in that you stole home court. Now you got to get greedy and find a way to go up 2-0. I think, going into this series, you look at this and you say, all right, Detroit and Orlando, both teams have their shooting woes that they run into. It's why I'm not a believer in Detroit coming out of the East, despite being the 1 seed. But they both have their shooting woes, both like to play very physical, very aggressive brand of defense. And so you look at this and say, well, it's kind of like, in a way, a lesser version of OKC and Phoenix, where what Phoenix is trying to do, the Thunder are simply better at all of those things. You would look at this series and say, kind of similarly, what the Pistons do is similar to what the Magic do, just the Pistons are better at it, even though they're both poor shooting teams. In game 1, though, that was not the case. In game 1, I thought the Magic were the aggressors. They took it to Detroit, and they shot significantly better, 49% from the field. Now, the three-point shooting still was a concern, 29% from deep. But overall, the Orlando Magic were just the more aggressive team. They were the better defense over the Pistons, which was a huge feather in their cap. They took all the things, instead of this being a series where Detroit is better at all the things that make Orlando a bit of a pain to play on any given night, Orlando was better than Detroit at all of those things in game 1. And so did they shift the momentum this series? Maybe. We'll see what game 2 tonight brings. You have to imagine Detroit's going to throw their best punch and try to even this thing up. But what a game 1 win for Orlando. And maybe it's the frustrating part of the season because what they're capable of, but they've just been inconsistent. So we'll see if the Magic can do it again tonight.
I'll tell you, Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show, to me, losing to that Celtics team that was resting like 7 of their guys, that to me is rock bottom. I don't know how it could have gotten any worse than that. They literally, in the postgame, were talking about they need to have better communication. It was game 82. I mean, what are you talking about? Better communication in game 82. That was ridiculous. I don't know if it was a players-only meeting after that and after Philadelphia. I don't know what it was, but this is a team, and I'll be blunt here, they played like they were pissed off on Sunday. They played with aggression that I haven't seen them play with for almost the entire year, and they're the healthiest they've been. I mean, this is an 8 seed with the number next to them, but Trevor, you and I both know this is not your typical 8 seed. Detroit kind of got a battle here on their hands, I think.
Yeah, they do. This is a team that is going to fight. That's what the Magic are going to do. If they continue to play the way they did game 1, this is going to be a real battle here in the first round. And so you love to see it. You love to see the Magic stepping up. And I love, you said they played like they were angry, like they were upset. And that's what you want to see out of a team. You want to see a team that suffers a bad loss the way they did against Boston. It was similar to what the Spurs did, completely blowing that game against to close out the season against Denver's B and C team. That's what Orlando did against Boston. But what you want to see after that is a response. You want to see the team come out determined to show that that's not who they are. And that's what we got out of the Magic.
We saw the Hawks go into the Garden earlier this week and take home court, taking one of the first 2 an inexcusable loss for the Knicks. They had that thing, and Atlanta just flat out beat them up in the fourth quarter. C.J. McCollum had a great game. Is New York in any trouble in that series?
They might be. I mean, the Hawks were. I came into the playoffs saying if anybody in the East was going to make a surprise run, it would be Atlanta. The way Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who didn't shoot particularly well, but the way he has played has been a revelation. He's been one of the most improved players in the NBA. I don't know if he'll win the award or not, but he's been phenomenal. C.J. McCollum still has the ability to turn it on. He dropped 32 on the Knicks, and the Knicks fell into the trap, man. They fell into the trap. They did what too many teams do. They try to run clock late in the game. They go away from the things that got them a lead. And then you oftentimes wind up putting your opponent right back in the game because you completely disrupt your own rhythm in this effort to try to burn clock. So the Knicks, they completely shot themselves in the foot. There was a line I saw earlier today. I forget who it was by, but it was a line earlier today that said the Knicks missed every one of their most important shots except for the one that got themselves in the foot. They have got to feel terrible after that loss. There was no reason for them to lose that game. You give all credit to the Hawks for the way they battled back. They did a phenomenal job keeping in that game mentally and not allowing the Knicks to just run away with it. And now they go back with home court, go back into Atlanta for a pivotal game 3. So the Knicks are going to have to stew over that one for a while because they had it and they opened the door for the Hawks, and the Hawks flew right through it.
I think coming into the playoffs, Trevor, one of the more intriguing series was Denver, Minnesota. Obviously, they have a history together in the postseason. You got Anthony Edwards and the Joker and everything that goes with that. And in game 1, you're thinking, Minnesota looked pretty bad. They didn't look very healthy. Denver beat them up pretty good. Boy, what a response by Minnesota to get one in Denver and to steal home court.
Especially after the way the first quarter went. It was a big Nuggets. I want to say it was 39-25, something like that after one. And the Wolves came right back and answered and inverted that score in the second quarter. Yeah, the Wolves won 39-25 in the second quarter. So they tied it up by halftime. In fact, it took a half-court buzzer beater by Jamal Murray to put the game at an even level because the Wolves actually had the lead. So the Wolves battled back. That would have been an easy game when Denver came out the way they did for the Wolves to just tap out and say, okay, we don't have it. This team's better than us. And to their credit, the Wolves, they gritted their teeth. They fought back, and they wound up picking up a massive win. And now you've got Jaden McDaniels saying stuff in the media about Denver and how terrible their defense is and all kinds of stuff. These two teams do not like each other. And I love it. This is going to be an absolute blast of a series. I think this is going to be a long series. And the Wolves doing what they did, responding to that first quarter the way that they did, ensured that we're going to see just a battle all the way out because the opportunity was there for the Wolves to let go of the rope a little bit, and they did not at all.
Couple more for Trevor Lane, the host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor, I want to talk about some coaching news with you in a moment. Final thought on the playoffs, at least for right now. I think the thought coming in is that Boston in the East, Oklahoma City in the West appeared to be the two favorites, and I would find that pretty hard to disagree with at this point. Would you?
Oh, yeah. Right now, I mean, the Celtics have a pretty clear path through at least round 1. They've got a banged up 76ers team that I don't think matches up particularly well with them. They're missing Joel Embiid, and Boston just blew them out in game 1. So I'm not expecting that series to go long. Had they drawn the Hawks like the Knicks did, I think it would be a much more interesting series, but I think Boston's going to cruise through round 1. The Knicks beat them last year, so if the Knicks survive or if the Hawks survive, I guess we'll see if either one of them can give them a test in the second round. But, yeah, Boston is well set up. I think they are right now. It has to be the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. And then OKC. OKC's got more of a battle, certainly, in the West because you're talking about going through, at the very least, you're going to have to go through San Antonio or Denver, which I would put those teams ahead of maybe anybody but Boston in the Eastern Conference. So OKC is going to have a fight on their hands. I think when they get to the conference finals, I do think they got the better of the draw by getting either an injured Lakers team or a Houston Rockets team that I don't think is that good in round 2. So I think OKC is going to be just fine getting to the West Finals. And then it's going to be quite a battle to see who ultimately makes it. But you know what? I'll remind everybody, last year, looking at the Eastern Conference, it seemed inevitable that we were going to get Celtics Cavs in the finals, and neither team got there. Instead, we got Knicks Pacers. So you never know for sure. But right now, I would say Boston's the favorite to come out of the East, and then certainly it's OKC in the West.
Trevor, Billy Donovan not returning to Chicago. That news broke earlier this week. Have we seen the end of him in the NBA, or is that story still to be written? Do you think he'll get another opportunity?
Oh, I think he'll have another opportunity if he wants it. I think he may want to go back to the college ranks, and we'll see ultimately what happens there. But I thought that was a very smart decision by him to say, you know what, I'm going to get ahead of this thing. They're bringing in a new lead decision maker, Arturas Karnisovas. They parted ways with him. And usually when you get a new regime coming in, ultimately they're going to want to bring in their own people, even if that doesn't happen initially. So I think Billy Donovan looked at it and said, you know what, maybe this isn't the ideal situation for me. The guy that I'm going to be reporting to isn't somebody who will be invested in me as the coach. I'm not this person's guy that they hired on. And so I'm going to get ahead of this thing. I'm going to take this opportunity and I'll go look elsewhere. And maybe that'll be college. Maybe that'll be another NBA job. But I thought it was a very forward-thinking decision by Billy Donovan. And now the Bulls, whoever their new lead decision maker is going to be, will have the opportunity to bring in their own personnel, their own coaching staff, and so forth.
There are rumblings about Steve Kerr and Golden State. Is he going to retire? That news was of interest here locally when Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo talked about Todd Golden of Florida might be pretty high on Golden State's list. Of course, Golden was a coach out at San Francisco University of San Francisco for 3 years and is friendly with the family that owns the Golden State Warriors. From a Steve Kerr point of view, do you believe he's coached his last game with Golden State?
I do. And I look at actions, and what was the last action that we saw from Steve Kerr when that game ended against Phoenix and ended their season? It was Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, all embracing on the floor. That sure looked like one final goodbye right there. I do think it's the end of Kerr with the Warriors. I think he's going to move on. We'll see ultimately what he does from there, but I think Golden State is going to look very, very different here moving forward. There are rumblings they may have moved Draymond Green at this last trade deadline. He's got a player option. We'll see ultimately what happens with that. I think there is a very real chance that next season of the Draymond, Steph, Klay Thompson, Steve Kerr Warriors, the teams that won so many championships, that Steph Curry is the last man standing next season in Golden State.
That would certainly be a changing of the guard. And final question, 30 seconds. I guess we'll figure out what Orlando's future is. The thought all along had been Orlando needs to get out of round one for Jamal Mosley to keep his job. Obviously, they've opened some eyes here in the last couple of games. Are we still there, Trevor? Do we still think the Magic need to get out of round one for Mosley to save his job?
I think so. It's been up and down enough in Orlando this season. And when you look at that payroll, that comes with expectations. So I still think they would need to get out of round one, if not further, to keep Jamal Mosley on board right now.
Trevor, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, the NBA front office show and the coverage you guys will have as the playoffs continue.
Sure, yeah. We'll continue to cover the NBA playoffs. We break things down multiple times a week. We do a 45-minute to an hour-long show, getting into all the details on all these different series, all the latest news around the league, everything coming up with the draft and all of that. That's over on the NBA front office show. And then I also cover some of the breaking news around the NBA over on the Basketball Bulletin.
It is a busy time of year. Trevor, I know how slammed you are. Appreciate the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Proud to serve sports radio to those who proudly protect our country. 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Growing up in Jacksonville, I always associated Beards with an elevated experience, something that isn't your big box store.
Dr. Aryan Afshari talking about his experience at Beards Diamonds.
Every single time I've walked into Beards, I have felt confident. I have felt like I've been guided down the right path. I feel like no one is there to take my money and that they all have my best interest in mind.
When Dr. Afshari went into Beards Diamonds for his engagement ring, he was blown away by the selection.
We walked into Beards, they showed us a massive array of diamonds, of bands.
But they helped him narrow it down and even offered to customize a designer setting for a one-of-a-kind ring.
I showed them some inspirations, and they really kind of knocked it out of the park. I think Megan still has the best ring out of all her friends.
Beard's Diamonds. Unbeatable selection, direct importer prices, designer rings, no commission salespeople, and local owners.
I wanted something meaningful, and that's what I found at Beard's.
Get the value and luxury experience you deserve. Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
Train your putt with pitch-perfect pointers from the pros and Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser on Brunch with the Tour. Tuesday morning at 8:30. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation and North Florida Medical Centers.
Did you know that an annual coating inspection can extend the life of your building by years? Catching early signs like hairline cracks, fading, and moisture intrusion helps prevent costly repairs down the road and keeps your property looking its best. Our team at Performance Painting helps you stay ahead of maintenance with professional inspections and long-lasting coating solutions. Protect your building, protect your budget. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a free inspection. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Spring is here. Is your yard ready? Lucas Tree Service, a family-owned business with over 45 years of experience, is Jacksonville's certified arborist for safe tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for homes and businesses. Protect your property, boost your curb appeal, and enjoy expert service you can trust. Keep your trees healthy and safe before summer arrives. Schedule your inspection today at lucastreeservice.com.
What Major League Baseball teams have never won a World Series?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
There are 5 Major League Baseball teams that have never won a World Series: Colorado, Milwaukee, San Diego, Seattle, and Tampa Bay.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Homeowners, ready to open your home to spring and shut out high energy bills? It's the 1 month only sale with Renewal by Anderson. Right now, buy one, get one 40% off windows and doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. But this offer expires April 30th. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Yeah, the golden moment is, well, we are inside of 24 hours away from the NFL draft. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the first round will begin. Again, will Jacksonville trade up into the first round? I would tend to doubt it. But from a Jacksonville perspective, what they're going to lack on Thursday, they will more than make up for on Friday. Because, again, as it stands right now, the Jaguars have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 selections on Friday. 1 in round number 2 and 3 in round number 3. As far as tomorrow night goes, Fernando Mendoza will be the number 1 pick in the draft. He will go to the Las Vegas Raiders. And then after that, who really knows? We'll see where Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame, goes. What about the Miami Hurricanes? Ruben Bain, Mesidor, Malagoa, Should be an interesting night along the National Football League. Ty Simpson, the quarterback for Alabama. Where is he going to end up? And we'll be here tomorrow night to break it all down with you. Looking forward to it. Hacker After Dark for at least the first, dozen or so picks, right? I know the first round tends to go pretty slowly, but we'll be on 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock tomorrow night here on Hacker After Dark. Let's continue the NFL draft conversation, the Jaguars in particular, but let's look overall at the draft class. My buddy Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. He joins me next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida, an NFL Draft Eve with you till 10 o'clock. We're glad you're with us, Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
I'm Frank Frangie. Our show will be live from Mr. Chubby's in Ponte Vedra talking NFL draft and a whole lot more. So come out and join us from 4 to 6 Friday for $12 select buckets of beer and $5 fireballs. This Friday at Mr. Chubby's Wings in Ponte Vedra.
Your tax refund has plans. A vacation? A flat screen TV? Well, your plumbing has other ideas. If you've been putting off a major repair, this is your chance to get the work done and save money. With the tax refund plumbing upgrade from Duck Duck Rooter, get $500 off any major plumbing repair over $5,000. That's real savings. Duck Duck Rooter delivers honest, upfront pricing and experienced pros who do it right. Call to schedule a free estimate. 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com. Financing is available.
Jacksonville, you're on the clock. When your oil change is due, don't waste your pick sitting at a dealership. At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, there's no appointment needed. Just pull in, stay in your car, and in 15 minutes, you're done. That's a smart pick. With convenient locations, a 4.7-star national rating, and named #1 quick lube for customer service by Forbes, Valvoline is the easy choice. Make the right call. Visit the newest Valvoline Instant Oil Change at Beach Boulevard and St. John's Bluff.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Save up to $400 on Browning gun safes right now at Green Acres Sporting Goods. During the Browning tax refund rebate, get up to $400 back on select safes, built to protect your firearms, valuables, and peace of mind. Green Acres is Northeast Florida's largest Browning dealer, with the selection ready for you today. But don't wait, this offer ends April 30th. Shop now at greenacresporting.com and take advantage before it's gone.
The long goodbye begins. A very special evening with Journey. Final Frontier Tour, Saturday, May 16th, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Journey. Tickets are on sale now at journeymusic.com. Your chance to say goodbye to the songs that changed our lives. Journey. Final Frontier Tour.
Tom McManus here for Armstrong Fence Company, a locally owned and operated business on the First Coast for nearly 20 years. Known for reliability, quality craftsmanship, and professional service, Armstrong Fence handles it all, from big projects like stadiums and schools to your very own backyard. They build a wicked strong fence, and they do it right the first time. When you need a fence in Jacksonville, trust Armstrong Fence Company. Yeah, we did the fence.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated ViStar Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids around the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable, family, fun.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. It is draft week, Thursday night, round one up in Pittsburgh. Of course, the Jaguars currently do not have a first-round pick, but they have 4 picks in the top 100, which means 4 day 2 selections, and they will have 7 more additional selections in rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. Let's talk about the draft, what the Jaguars may or may not do this week up in Pittsburgh with one of our draft guys. You know him, you love him, Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media, and Chad's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Chad, happy draft week, man. How are you?
It's the best week of the year, and the Jags are going to be quiet night 1, but then come day 2 and day 3, 11 picks. So you guys are going to have a lot of good football players.
Yeah, a lot of action for the Jaguars, including 4 picks on day 2. Chad, before we get into the draft, I want to ask you about a guy that was a second-round pick back in 2024, Rook Arroyo from Atlanta. He comes down here. Mason Smith goes up there. What was your thought on the trade the Jaguars made late last week?
Got some value back from Mason Smith. That's a guy that fell out of favor, and he lost reps to Matt Dickerson down the stretch. So, I thought he might be traded for like a 6th or 7th round pick to get an intriguing player. That's a great job by the general manager.
And as far as Arroyo goes, I mean, in Atlanta, I talked to some people up there. It sounded pretty similar. New staff. They did not draft him. Maybe didn't fit in to their defensive scheme, much like Mason Smith here. What type of player are they getting? Because even though they both play defensive tackles, heck, their body types alone, Chad, they look like different players.
Right. They asked him to play a little bit like shade nose and didn't just put him in a pure 3 technique role. They did a little bit down the stretch, but it was an undersized defensive line. So he'll get a chance, with that group to at least play some more 3 technique, and he should be part of that rotation.
All right, let's get into the Jaguars this week. Obviously, Thursday, round 1 will not be a part of that as it stands right now. They will hit the stage at pick 56. Obviously, we can't predict who's going to be there, but we can talk about what type of player and what position they should target. Interior D-line, linebacker, where are you with what the Jaguars need to do with that first pick?
Right, at 56, Anthony Hillis there, maybe it's a linebacker, but it feels like it's going to be their defensive line or potentially safety. There's just so many good defensive tackles that are going with day 2 there. Halton, Odium from Texas A&M, Barrett, McLean, Proctor, the local guy, Gerald Jackson Jr., big boy from Florida State. So there's 4 or 5 guys that are really interesting there at 56 and then down in round 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they double dip in the defensive tackle position.
Let's talk about Grayson Halton from Oklahoma. He's a guy that I've seen mocked to the Jags, quite frankly, a ton over the last couple of weeks and months. What kind of player is Grayson Halton?
56 seems a little rich. He tested really well. He's a 3 technique, a little bit undersized, but, a really interesting ascending player. But 56 seems a little rich. There's other guys that you should be able to get down at 81 and 88 that are probably better value.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. The Caleb Banks question. I don't think he's going to be there at 56, but if he is, it's because of that foot issue. He's now had 3 separate issues on that foot. And Chad, when you're a 6'5", 330-pound defensive tackle, people tend to take notice of things like that. If for whatever reason Caleb Banks is there at 56 with the foot issues, is that worth a risk for the Jaguars?
It is. On the hook, he looks like Chris Jones and kind of plays like him at times, but he's inconsistent. So it's either him or another guy that could get there and surprise some people is Lee Hunter, the big nose tackle from Texas Tech. I'd like to see the Jaguars just sit and pick. Don't get too aggressive and package those to move up. Just some good players going to get to you at 56, and maybe that is Caleb Banks if the injuries are an issue, and also keep an eye on Lee Hunter for Texas Tech.
You mentioned you like Daryl Jackson out of Florida State. What do you like about him?
Just a big, pure nose tackle. I think he's just starting to figure out, even though he's an upperclassman, he's got power. And last year, what was really a successful part of that defense was the run stopping ability. And eventually they're going to need to find some big bodies to put in there. And you could pair him with a smaller three technique, and he'll do some of the dirty work.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. All right, when it comes to linebacker, we hear a lot of names associated with Jacksonville. They need to find Devin Lloyd's replacement. First and foremost, I know we talked about this about a month ago. Ventrell Miller, Branson Combs, Jack Kaiser, those are the guys here. Do you feel comfortable about any of them replacing Devin Lloyd, or do they need to draft somebody?
Maybe as a sort of rotational role, but ultimately, it's not a position I think you need to reach on, because you can also find somebody late in stages of free agency after the compensatory pick kind of expires. But my sprint to the podium guy for you is Anthony Hill, the guy from Texas who's just rangy, athletic. He'd be perfect there next to Foye. And then there's Jake Golday, the big kind of a bigger guy that could play on the outside. And then round 3, I keep hearing Kyle Lewis, the Pittsburgh converted safety tied to the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Lewis, Golday, Hill. You hear Rodriguez, although I think he's probably going to be gone. And even Trotter, Jeremiah's son, the young man from the University of Missouri. It certainly appears that one of those first 4 picks for Jacksonville is going to be spent on a linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. And Anthony Hill would be great, as you mentioned, Golday. Trotter, I just don't think he's a great fit. I don't see him as a great coverage player. But they should be able to get a really good linebacker there on day 2.
Chad, offensively, I think it's going to be primarily a defensive draft for Jacksonville, but if there is one position they're going to target early, it might be tight end. Brenton Strange is a stud. They need somebody behind him, though. They have Quentin Morris. They have Hunter Long, but it does appear that they might target tight end in round 3, certainly by round 4. What is your thought on this year's tight end crop, and you got any guys in the round 3, round 4 area that you like?
There's going to be a run on them, and 18 to 20 guys could be drafted. I'd wait till day 3, because I think you'll still get good value there, whether it's a Marlon Klein from Michigan, Eli Raridon from Notre Dame, Oscar Delp, the Georgia tight end, after great testing, probably goes on day 2. I think you got to hit the defense. The one position that I would say they could hit on day 2 and surprise people is maybe even Keelan Rutledge, the guard from Georgia Tech out there. In a year, the guard situation looks a little bit more difficult to figure out. So Keelan Rutledge is another one that I think would be a perfect scheme fit. But yeah, they're going to go on. They're going to go defense there at 56.
Yeah, I agree with the offensive line. Everybody's like, well, they have everybody under contract this year. And I said, yeah, that's true, but you don't draft for 1 year. You draft for the future. And Ezra Cleveland's a free agent after this season. Who knows what Patrick McCarry's status will be after this year. I think interior offensive line is somewhere they might potentially look. Wide receiver as well. Tim Patrick, we don't know what his status is. They tried to bring in Jake Bobo from Seattle. The Seahawks matched that offer. So I'm just connecting the dots here, Chad. They're looking for a big 6'4", 6'5" type wide receiver that can block, play special teams, and be used at the goal line. Are there any wide receivers that fit that criteria that you like?
I got 2 for you. Jeff Caldwell from Cincinnati, who tested like an absolute freak at the combine. He'll be a great gunner right away, and we'll figure out if he can kind of learn the nuances of route running. Then Colby Young from Georgia fits that role of big blocking wide receiver, kind of your 4th, 5th wide receiver for good on teams. And an undrafted name for you guys to keep an eye on, Dane Key from Nebraska.
I like that. I remember him from Nebraska, and certainly James Gladstone made a living last year with guys like Danny Strigow, Branson Combs, B.J. Green. He found a lot of diamonds in the rough as undrafted free agents. Chad, I want to look big picture outside of the Jaguars in a moment, but I do think edge is a position as well. Even though they have Strigow, Green, Gardeck, obviously Hines, Allen, and Walker, you can never have too many guys affecting the quarterback. Who are some of the mid-round edges that you like?
Mason Rieger from Wisconsin's a really interesting fit there in round 4. Najee Kelly from UCF, really athletic guy. When you're looking at kind of day 3 edges, and they've got enough kind of talent at the position already, they can go with someone that's, I guess, more pure developmental. So those are 2 guys. Tyreek Sapp from Florida, maybe.
Final position I want to ask you about with Jacksonville is corner. And again, on the surface, you say, well, Hunter, Lewis, Brown, and Jones. And while that's true, Hunter and Lewis are coming off the surgery table, and we expect them to be ready by September, but you probably need some assurance or insurance in that as well. Who are some of the corners that you like that may be in that round 3, 4, and 5 area?
Love the fit of Julian Neal from Arkansas there in round 3. On day 3, Charles Demings, small school guy, Price Sock from Washington. If they go the corner route, I expect them to look for some size and maybe a guy that could also play safety like Price Sock. So those are some names to keep an eye on.
Final moments, Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites. Chad, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, coming off a 16-0 Heisman Trophy winning national championship campaign at Indiana. How good a pro is Fernando Mendoza going to be?
Jared Goff is the comp, right? It's you're going to need to have a great pocket for him. He's got an arm, so that's a lot to start with. And it comes down to just development and how hard he's going to work. It's a perfect system he's going to be in with Kubiak. So if they surround him with the right pieces, he can be a very good quarterback. But as a prospect, we're not looking at Andrew Luck or even Trevor Lawrence.
Offensively in the NFL, that's what sells the tickets, right? That's what puts up the points. But it looks like it's going to be a very heavy defensive class in the top 6 or 7 picks. Does it surprise you that we might see 4, maybe 5 of the first 7 be defensive guys?
Right. There's no premium offensive lineman. There's one quarterback, and then you've got Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate that kind of could fit into the mix there in the top 10. So eventually there's going to be a run on the offensive line, but early we should hear these Ohio State guys coming off the board, David Bailey from Texas Tech. And then one of the really interesting ones will be where Ruben Bain ends up going for Miami.
Speaking of Ruben Bain, obviously a lot of Miami fans here in Jacksonville. What's your thought on not only him, but on Malagoa, the offensive tackle as well?
Malagoa he's a great player. He's a young guy. Some back issues they're talking about right now, which is concerning. He can move inside the guard, but I think he can stay at right tackle. It's a little bit of the Tristan Wirfs thing. I think we might be overthinking the fact that this kid showed up on campus in Miami and was a pretty damn good right tackle right away. With Ruben Bain, he's a really good player. His game's built off power, leverage he gets off, the length. We've talked about it enough, but he's been a highly productive player. And sometimes there's outliers that are just good football players. Now, we're not going to say that, he's in the class of like a Clowney as a prospect or Myles Garrett, but he should be in the top 10.
We've seen Jeremiah Love potentially linked to Tennessee at 4, although I think that's starting to cool a little bit as we get closer. Obviously, when Tennessee picks, we're going to take notice here in Jacksonville. What do you think the Titans are thinking there with that 4th selection?
It's got to be offense. Robert Saleh was obviously with the Jets previously, and the reason he didn't stick around there is he never got quarterback right, and the offense is just abysmal. So you've got Cam Ward. You're starting to have the semblance of an offensive line. Skill position group is really lacking. I'd either go Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate. They did enough on free agency on the defensive side.
Final moments with Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Chad, as we're on the doorstep of the draft and you've done all your analysis, is it a down year as we've been led to believe, or do you think there's going to be more talent than some think?
It's every year we talk about this. We're just looking for these premium prospects, and they don't seem to be there. But again, it's a really good depth class. I just listed off 8 or 10 defensive tackles that could go between 56 and let's call it 125 that are going to be really good players in the NFL. And then it's also a pretty good offensive line class, which is surprising compared to previous years. So sure, I just think every year it's just convenient to say that it's not a great year. But we've been talking about Caleb Downs forever. He's a great player. Sonny Styles. We've got some real talent in this class.
Well, and I'll say this too. I've been told from numerous people that don't be surprised if you see a lot of trades very similar to what Jacksonville did last year. Not the Travis Hunter trade, but what they did with Detroit. People are going to try to accumulate 2027 draft picks because apparently, Chad, and you would know better than me, next year's draft class on paper looks to be ridiculous, correct?
Right, yes. And I look at that pick. They're sitting at 100, which is the last pick on day 2. And I'd almost be shocked if they didn't trade down and get some picks for next year in the process.
Interesting. All right, final question. Give us one of each. We'll start on the positive. Give us somebody on Thursday night that you think is going to go a lot higher than most others do.
Monroe Freeland is going to be the first offensive tackle off the board. He's got all the traits to be a left tackle. He's in play for the Browns as the Cardinals move down. He shouldn't get beyond the Rams at 13. The Lions actually could move up for him. And a guy that's going to go earlier than people think is Keldrick Falk. He's going in the top 20. And the social media guys don't love him, but he's a really talented football player. And I guess I got one more for you. I think Dylan Keenan could end up sneaking in there top 12, top 12.
I like that. Now, as far as the opposite of that, give us somebody that might have a longer Thursday night than they're expecting.
All right. Avion Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson, last till round 3.
Wow. And why do you think that is?
He's undersized zone guy that didn't run well, and it's a speed position. He doesn't really play the ball that well down the field, so I can see him going around three. And then my other surprise is Keelan Rutledge to go either 22 to the Chargers or 25 to the Bears.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Chad, it's your week. I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time, and we'll do it again after the draft.
It was fun. Duval.
And thank you to Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media is where you find Chad's work. Always appreciate him joining us on the doorstep of the NFL Draft. Again, the NFL Draft tomorrow night, round number 1 up in Pittsburgh. Now, unlike years past, where the Jaguars obviously had a first-round pick, they currently do not have a first-round pick tomorrow. So Hacker After Dark, we will actually be on the air live during round number 1. And then the Jaguar Draft Show this year will be on Friday for the 4 picks the Jaguars have on Friday evening. I believe I will be doing reactions to each Jaguar pick on the 1010XL social media platforms on Friday evening. So we will be on tomorrow night as the first round gets underway right about 8 o'clock when our show starts, when Roger Goodell walks across that podium and officially puts the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock. And all indications are that Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback from the University of Indiana, will of course be that number 1 pick in the draft. So we'll be with you tomorrow night. Who knows? Maybe the Jaguars trade up into round 1. I would actually be surprised because, again, it's going to be hard to trade all the way up from 56. I mean, they do have 56, 81, 88, and 100. But I don't know if, A, there's going to be a player worth giving up so much for to move up, 25 some odd spots. I personally like where the Jaguars are. To have 4 picks on day number 2, I think is going to be really good value for the Jaguars moving into Friday after the dust settles in round number 1 on Thursday night. So we certainly talked about that, talked about the NBA playoffs as well. Boy, with Portland beating San Antonio and Atlanta knocking off the Knicks, and you had Minnesota over Denver. You had Philadelphia beating Boston. Obviously, Orlando stole game 1 in Detroit. What looked to be blowout series in the first couple of days after these game 1s were played, we got some really good series now here in round number 1. It's kind of nice to see the parity in the National Basketball Association, so we certainly spent a lot of time on that as well. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. And we do have a ton of people to thank. Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites. Always enjoy having Chad on. He's going to tell you what he thinks. And we appreciate Chad taking time out for us this evening. Thank you to Trevor Lane, host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor is certainly one of our guys when it comes to the National Basketball Association, and we appreciate Trevor taking time out for us tonight to talk a little NBA playoffs on Hacker After Dark. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Leon Searcy, the former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. We get him weekly during the season here on Hacker After Dark. And we do catch up with Leon here in the offseason periodically when it warrants, and certainly the night before the NFL Draft was one of those occasions. Again, we will be on tomorrow night for round number 1 from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and we do hope you join us then on a Thursday night here on Hacker After Dark. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night during round 1 of the NFL Draft here on Hacker After Dark beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then,